So, what is a school garden, and how in the world would one function as a business? School gardens themselves are pretty self-explanatory. More often than not, they are vegetable and herb gardens that are tended by students. Some gardens will also host flowers, while some more established gardens can boast fruit bushes, trees, and even beehives with their own specially trained beekeeping students, of course. There isn't a set size or setup for school gardens. Each school plans their own according to funding, space available, and what they think works best for their schedule and students. Some schools may only have one or two raised beds, while others can boast an impressive acreage of fields and orchards. School gardens seem impressive and clearly host benefits to the skill building and educational experiences of the students. But how can they actually be considered a viable business that benefits the community? Let's start off with a great example. While not necessarily a single school garden, the Hope Blooms Youth Community Garden in Halifax, Nova Scotia is a positive and successful example of a student-run garden business. CBC News has a great article on their site about the success of the student-run garden. It's linked below in the references if you want to learn a little more about their story, along with Hope Bloom's official site. Now for my personal summary of their journey from youth community garden to successful Canadian business, I'll start from their beginning. Hope Blooms was initially started in 2008 and is a youth community garden hosting a program that is specialized for at-risk youth starting at the age of 5 until they're 18. They began with a small plot of land established by a local dietitian. Now they boast 4,000 square feet of food-producing gardens, an off-the-grid greenhouse, and a commercial kitchen of their own. The garden has had multiple accounts of success, including being featured on Dragon's Den, with each dragon donating $10,000 to the youth-run program. Throughout their decade of successful entrepreneurship, the students have been able to build their gardens, give back to their communities, donate to multiple charities, and provide amazing scholarships to their own student members. There are many other great success stories out there from across the globe from school garden businesses. A quick search on Google leads to countless stories of success. Now, how does this form of farming benefit our own food systems, and what risks or cons are there? Like all things, this form of farming also has its own set of pros and cons. Let's look at the risk factors and cons first, so we can save the best for last, so to speak. Firstly, it really isn't feasible for a single school garden to supply for large-scale production. Even programs such as Hope Blooms, which has students from multiple schools, can still be considered small-scale. Generally, all school garden businesses will be small businesses. Most schools, especially in Canada, take long breaks during the summer. This is peak season for, well, growing anything. Many schools must hire outside gardeners or find volunteers to take care of the gardens during holidays. Let's face it, schools are highly underfunded. While setting up a garden is relatively inexpensive compared to most business endeavors, schools still have next to nothing budgets for any sort of activity that isn't considered stereotypically academic. Most schools rely on community to help get started. Even private schools may still find it difficult to budget for a garden large enough to be considered self-sustaining. Okay, let's get to the good bits, those benefits of having school gardens and turning them into a business. One of the best benefits of school garden businesses is how incredibly community-based they all seem to be. This is definitely a two-way street, and it should be. That risk of not having enough funds? Asking parents and community members for unused gardening equipment, seeds, and other necessities is a great workaround, and it does work. Parents are almost always ready to help further their child's education by whatever means they can. Donating a few bags of soil and unused garden gloves is a small expense most parents are more than willing to donate. Like mentioned before, this community goes two ways. Once established, the school gardens will often give back to the community, whether it be through local charities, donations of fresh foods to the food banks, or just a simple jar of salsa given back to each family at the end of the student's harvest. Community ties are definitely strengthened when a school starts a garden business. The students themselves reap the benefit of experience and skill building. Some of the main skills are leadership, business and accounting, agriculture, as well as social and physical health. Often students will end up having a healthier lifestyle, growing and eating their own produce, as well as the knowledge of a healthy diet that is brought on with a connection to where their food is coming from. Oh yeah, that connection to food. These days most kids seem to think that food is made in and comes from the supermarket. Let's not even get onto the topic of where chicken nuggets come from. Gardens in schools, being used as a business or not, have a huge impact on students and their reconnection to food and where it comes from. Perhaps this reconnection will impact the future of our food system in a positive way. Students in garden programs think about where their food comes from and how it gets here. All of this sounds beautiful and utopia-like, and the pros seem to outweigh the cons. But not everyone can love this. I mean, school is for academics, isn't it? Reading, writing, math, science, and whatnot. To be honest, I was really only able to find one article that had an actual debate against schools having gardens, and that article even ended with the author providing the educational benefits of gardens in schools. Lisa Bennett's article on ecoliteracy.org can be summarized as a fairly classic debate on anything life skill based in schools. A father was upset that their child was digging in dirt rather than doing extra algebra, and that he himself could teach a child to garden. And he's right, he could, but not every student has that luxury of a backyard garden. That being said, there are countless studies showing the benefits of having a garden in schools. A study conducted by University of Illinois revealed that in Rockford, Illinois, students partaking in garden programs boasted higher leadership skills as well as healthier dietary behaviors than their peers. So, to summarize this video, a school garden operating as a business can really help boost our local food systems. They can provide socially and economically to their local and sometimes extended communities, occasionally in a surprisingly large way. They can teach students valuable skills in both life and academics, leading to a bright future for themselves and hopefully our own food systems.